I am Sivarama Prasad, visiting faculty at IARE. Today we want to see some of the important aspects which are not so prominently given priority, but they are very much required. That is standards, the need for any model development or fabrication. If you see our general life, it all started with a nature. We are living with nature and we loved nature. That means olden days agricultural, village, animals, forests and all. And everything was going on as per the nature's laws. So that time, it is as you like, you can stay. If you want to stay, you have to fight for survival, or only the fittest used to survive. Then later on, it became agricultural, village, rural life, and it started revolving around a limited population, known population, and also with saints, village heads, well-wishers, and everybody who was thinking about a concern. They were all living with a concern and a care. That's why there was never a problem, and transactions were all in natural mode and barter systems. And there is nothing called very big business models. Everybody used to live happily. That's all. Then what happened? Industrialization. That means when the items were smaller, limited, and man was not able to do fully, industry has taken a major drive to mass produce and take the human skills into the machine. And that was the time that transport, tranquil technology, telecom, market, these are all started growing. And what happened? When things have become more and more companies have come with a lot of mass item, people started getting the taste of comforts. And slowly they became to the next level, and in the name of freedom, they were doing lot of things of their own. And the organizations, the societies, the well-wishers, they anticipated it may lead to some disasters or chaos in the long term. That means if everybody starts behaving as per their own will and wish, in the name of freedom, fundamental rights and all those things, what will happen? You are not thinking about the next man, or you are not thinking about the environment, and you don't want to listen to the other man, then it becomes a disorder. That was the time people thought we should bring in some systems, some standards, some norms, law and order, and then that is how we have to build a peaceful society with some amount of discipline and freedom at a agreed level. That is how we want to provide a good life for all the citizens. That is how the civilization brought with some rules and regulations, some amount of systems, some amount of norms, so that everybody can live as per their own minimum freedom, and also they can enjoy whatever way they want in private or in public. There are some good things which will happen. That's how these norms and standards have come into the main industry and also to the human life. And when industry started, it all did with a lot of good spirit. That means the buyer is not an educated one, or he is not having the knowledge of the product. The seller or the producer, he has the knowledge. So what he did, the seller took all the initiative to explain and also to make buyer understand what is the use, how to make use of it, how it has to come. That is how industry, the buyers, the sellers took lot of interest, and they built brand names, and also they built credibility, trust, all those things through providing good things. But most of the times, you should remember, with good comes bad also. In the competition, when it is going in a high spirit, as long as the spirit was there, it was okay. Some exploitation will come, some greediness enters. Then what happened? A lot of things may get into the wrong mode. That is the time when you have to bring the controls. So to avoid such practices, we have to make some controls, and before that, we have to put some standards and norms into the application. That is how the product, service, every market, every industry started working on some common agreed systems, some common agreed rules, everything. So that is how the industry, standards, regulatory, governing bodies all have come for creating an organized living and a smooth functioning of the society, and try to check unhealthy practices. This is how the norms have come into the human life. Otherwise, very olden days, it is all with just a self-discipline. You have to be good, you have to be like this, you have to be like this. That's all. There are no any law and order separately. Only things were taken it at a human level, where the technology was not there, and where the technology at a very low level, and so the law and order also it is at a low level, because many people used to follow the discipline or norms. This is how the world, when it started with industry, it has agreed, and in 1947 the organization is formed, International Organization for Standardization, that means ISO. It has got a lot of members of all countries, and that is how the people who are all well educated, well established in the industry, they promoted some of the norms. And that is how the main things have come: law, regulations, rules, codes, standards, statutory, regulatory, and specifications. This is how most of the terms you will see in the rule book. And also there are some terms called compulsory, mandatory, obligatory, cautionary, advisory. Like that, you will find different names, different clauses. You have to be very clear, and you have to understand these whenever you are making a product development, or whenever you are making a new service, or whenever you are trying to give a good product to the society, so that you will not get into any of the issues related to the law, regulations and all. Compulsory means it is essential. Obligatory means it is a social obligation, but there is no legal. And if it is a mandatory, it is a binding. That means the buyer has a binding. It is not just I made it, whatever happens, let it happen. No, the buyer has, the doer of the work has got an obligation that he should not give a bad effect on the other one. Like this, caution, advice, these are all some of the options. That is how the things have come, and this is how the terms are mentioned under different categories. We have to just have a look at it. Law and regulation means it is a standard, and you have to comply with that. If there is a law, if there is a regulation, it is a compulsory and mandatory in all senses that you have to comply with this. And regulations are legal. Once you say it is a regulation, legally it is administered, and you have to follow that. Then rule means it is a code, and it is defined as a product requirement, and there is an authority over this regulation. That means if you are not following this, yes, you are liable for any punishment, or you have to take the penalty or something like that. You have to practice these points. That is how this is there. Whereas if you see the law and regulation, they are a must. And as long as there is no bad effect, rule has got a small step over. But whereas regulations means whether effect is bad or good, you have to follow that. Here there is some small things like that. And standards means there is an organization, either it can be a government body or regular one. They have given some metrics and they have given some methods and they have given some sort of what you call as the way it should be done. These are the guidelines, and these practices will make a correct one because it is made by experts, and also they have looked at the continuous and also the future and also the current, whereas they look at it as the past mistakes also. That is how the standards have come as a guideline. So it will be defining some of the things, but it will be a guideline. And statutory regulatory code. Code is also, it is written by approved body. Then comes the specifications. The specifications are formed by the companies or written by any private companies or technically sound companies or brand or public limited companies, whatever it is. They make the specification of the product looking at all the above standards, statutory things, regulatory things, compulsory, obligatory. All those things are to be looked at when you are writing a specification or when you are making a product. Your product should satisfy all those things. If it is not following, anytime you can be penalized or you are responsible for the bad effects which are being done on that. Or sometimes you have to be very cautionary when these products are going to be used by the people. So what happened is this ISO, they have formulated with all the countries, and then industry experts are there. They have formulated a lot of standards. They are related to all the points and more so with the quality, technical, environmental, safety, IPR, or regular administration workmen, and also. So it covers all the system requirements, and they are different for different fields. For example, engineering, pharma, food, automobile, appliances. Whenever you are dealing with this area, you have to follow or go into that related or relevant standards. For example, it is a core engineering, non-core engineering, oil and gas, mines, power. They have their own standards. General engineering, appliances, railways, they have their own. And some are specific to automotive, aerospace. Like that, there are different things which covers each area. So the minute your product is in one particular area, you have to refer to that standards. Without referring that, if you make it, your product may get into some issue later. So to avoid that, it is a very cautionary one, and also you have to look into that. If you see quality and technical, as we told earlier, the industry is taking the major initiative in making a product, and the buyer or the user, he is not having that much knowledge about the product's chemistry or manufacturing or anything. He only knows how to use the product, and after using that, he should not get any bad effect. That's all. So quality and technical is not maintained by the buyer. Whereas in the olden days, the buyer is also knowledgeable and also the seller is more concerned about the customer. So there were no issues. Whereas when industry is there, when it is serving different components, different areas, different global places, then quality and technology, they have to be the first priority and they have to address it. So ISO first took quality and technical as the major thing. That means quality means you should follow this. Technical means this process only you should follow. Or if any process you are following, you should be concerned with this environment, this sustainability, this human life, this safety, this social life, and this local life. All those things you test. Like that, if you go to automotive, ISO 9000 was the specific one, and it used to serve the entire automobile industry's requirements. So it was introduced in 87, and from that time onwards, ISO standards have become very, very prominent when the industry took major drive, and ISO 9000 was the first certifying body or something like which is visible to the public. It is not that it was not there, but it became very visible. ISO certified component, ISO certified, BIS certified, like that it has started. So it all talks about assurance of the quality and assures credibility that manufacturers reach the root of the problem. Suppose if a customer gets into a problem, manufacturer will reach the root and he will solve it. And quality assurance management systems, these are all guidelines for all the industries, and it requires the industry has to follow, and the local man or the operational man, they have to follow this. Only then that certification will be given, and the certification is not compulsory. Then what happened is there are some big automobile companies like Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, and these are the major serving auto sector, and they used to lead the entire automobiles. So they have assembly units and they buy products from outsiders. When they are outsourcing, it is their duty to ensure that the quality, delivery, efficiency, everything is established properly. So they have established QS 9000. Next, after that, QS 9000 has come, and this has taken a prevention approach. It is not that we will see, we will test it. It has got a prevention approach. So earlier it was assurance. Now you are preventing the defect to come into the system itself. That is how lot of statistical concepts, tools have come in, and new methods have come into the regular operational things. And QS 9000 was a prominent one during 90s. And later, TS 16949, that was the standard which was authorizing the company to supply to any automobile company. And most of the automobile giants, OEMs also, they started asking TS 16949, if you are not certified, we will not take the components from you. That's how the standard slowly, it has come into the certifying body. So, following the standards, following the regulatory, it is self. And then certification has come so that there is a certifying body, and that certification gives an assurance for the buyer. Yes, it is a good one. That is how the manufacturer is making. And by using these components, when they make it, the buyer is safe. And then now, IATF, that is International Automotive Task Force, it has come into the picture. It is a step above the prevention method. You have to address, or you have to see what is customer specific requirement and how you are continually improving that, and how you are reducing the waste, how you are reducing the variance, and how you are following the zero defect concepts. That means earlier assure the quality, then prevent the defect to enter into that. Now we have gone into a step ahead. That is customer what really wanted, and then how you are improving your technology, and wastage, too much of wastage when it was noticed. Now you have to reduce the wastage, and when you are making mass production, you have to see that variance is very minimum. And when you are doing all these things, you cannot produce a lot of defects and select one. So you have to reduce defects. That means zero defect concept. That's how step by step, the product development was enforced with these type of things. Then there is one more institute in India, that is Automotive Research Association, which is very specific only to the automobiles and that too for the vehicles, which looks into emissions, fuel, and the general certification of the vehicles that has to be run in India. So this is very specific to vehicles which are being run. Similarly, for aerospace, there is AS 9000. This is a basic quality system for aerospace. That means aerospace requires much more safer and is a risk-free and risk-mitigated systems for aerospace industry. That's why it is more stringent than automobile. In automobile, you are on the floor, you are on the road, but it is safety of the passenger, safety of the driver, safety of the people who are using that. Here, it is much higher. That's why ISO 9000 is one of the version where AS 9000, it deals with much more specific things, and if you are not certified AS 9100, nobody will buy part from you for military or air force or aerospace. It is a must. Whereas in earlier case in automobile, TS 16949 or IATF, it gives easy passage, but it is not that it is a must. You can buy, but whereas in aerospace case, you cannot buy. And then when you are doing all these things, it's all technical and what you call technical quality, product, everything. But what about the safety and health? First is safety of employees at workplace, and it has to minimize the effects of said company on the environment. You cannot just leave whatever waste you want, whatever unhealthy things to the outside the factory. So safety, health and environment, it has become one of the major activity, because when lot of factories are coming, lot of products are coming, there is a lot of health issues, safety issues, and also they are getting into a spoiling of the environment also. That's how ISO 14000 has come. It was introduced in the very late 90s, and at that time, environmental management system. Earlier was quality management system. Now it is one step next. That is environment. That means the industries have got matured enough to make good products. But what about the environment? It is their responsibility to see that environment is not spoiled. At the same time, safety of the employees is taken care at workplace and also at outside. That is how this management organization, it has come. What is the impact on external environment for compliance and also to reduce pollution? That is how ISO 14000 has come. You have to take stock of the environment, you have to establish your own objectives, and you have to reduce pollution, and also you have to improve on avoiding pollution at the root itself. That means you should not take into methods which are going to produce the pollution. That's how ISO 18000. That is here occupational health and safety assessment. Here the safety is looked at workplace, and you have to reduce the methods, and it has to be involving the workmen and management, and you have to ensure that you are always safe and environment is also safe. That means product is good, product is safe, you are safe, the man who is manufacturing is safe, The property with which it is made, that is also safe internally, and it is also not producing any bad effects onto the society which is around us. That means you have come to a level which was much, much earlier. That is in the olden days. From nature you used to taking food, you are not spoiling, you are using natural environment, and you are giving it waste to the natural nature where it is getting biodegradable, and everything is a circular economy. That means whatever it comes from the nature, you are giving back to the nature, and in the process there was no pollution. The same thing was brought into industry through these standards and norms. That's how we got into this. Now, a new one, that is integrated management systems. That means everything is integrated. ISO 9000, QS 9000, 14,000, 18,000, all put together, it has become integrated management system. That means if you follow these, you are following quality, you are following environment, you are following operational health and safety. So this is how the systems got merged into and also integrated, and any industry which is making or any product which is being made, it should be under these guidelines. And when you are making all these things, one more thing which has come recently is that intellectual property rights, IPR. When there is a competition, when there is a lot of people are making same thing, when the world has become small and needs, global needs are you're serving from a different places, what happens is when you create something, maybe someone else may copy it or someone else may be getting the benefit of it. To protect the innovator or inventor, there are some laws. That is, creator is given the exclusive right over the use of his creation for certain period of time. You cannot take it lifelong until you are protected. That means once you are protected because you have struggled and made one invention, so you have to be protected and you should get the benefit of it. That's why exclusive right is given to you. And intangible, that means without your consent, nobody should use that. So it is with your permission only, they will take using that, either brand name or either the product or either your name, everything. And that is how the original creator was given a protection for his struggle and his original work, because he is creating something new for the public and for the society. So he needs to be given some amount of protection. Why this has become very important nowadays is people are making different ideas, different solutions, different products at different parts of the world. So, knowingly or unknowingly, sometimes it becomes a problem to continue work, or sometimes after working, it may become a risky or a waste. That is, suppose I am there, you are there, he is there. We three have got same idea, and we started making. But one of the person went into IPR and he took permission. It is his patent. We both don't know. So when we launch a product, he can come and say, you have copied it. It may be really we have copied or not. It is not the issue, but he has got the first right and we will be the losers. That's why it is always good to check when you are good with invention and when you are trying to make a product. It is first good to check, and if possible, you patent it first so that you are protected. It is not that you want to become a monopoly, but you want to protect your hard work. That is the reason why IPR is this. And these are all about the products. But what about the administration? Because we are dealing with a lot of people. People on one side, working group, one side on the managing group. That's how the factory inspectorate law has come. That is to regulate the facilities, working times, and also conditions you have to maintain at the factories and premises. There are some minimum working conditions you have to maintain. This is how factory inspectorate law has come. Along with that, labor law. Labor law is basically deals with power imbalance. Employer is on one side, workman is on one side, operators on one side, supervisors on one side. So all these, there are some rights and also some guidelines. You have to follow that. One is on the conditions of work, rules, wages, and the relation between that, and conflict management. All these things they have to formulate, and that is formulated very nicely under labor law. And then some other things, supportive things is pollution control, release of harmful gases, and sewage systems and effluent treatments, ground disposals, waste management, and also e-waste. Recent times it has become more prominent, and fire hazards, inflammable materials, and some of the things which you used when you have to dispose of, there has to be waste management, and the items which are hazardous either to the ground or to the air or to the environment, you have to be very careful. And also there has to be some safety, insurance, fire, and also human property, and also to the environment. These are all the things you have to take care. Without all this, the product is not full, our factory is not full. And by seeing these, don't get panic. These are all awareness. It is for awareness. And you need not become an expert in all these fields. There are some experts. But what is it telling is, never neglect the norms. You should look at it, be cool, go to expert and take his advice, then act. But the meanings between the lines, understanding the terms and technologies, you have to understand whether it is for short term or long term, legal or regulatory. These are very, very important when you are dealing with signing MOU or new buying, buy and sale, or when you are starting up or when you are closing your companies. Sometimes non-disclosure agreements, collaborations, agreements and tie-ups, and when you are doing new things at different locations, and sometimes it is for settlement or final closure. So at these times, you have to be taking the help of experts, because we cannot be expert in all these things. Once you are technically expert or financial expert or management wise expert, you may not be able to be expert on legal terms and these standard terms. So take help, and taking a help from a subject specialist, it need not be every day. It can be on the need basis. So why all this is, every time product means customer, quality, and needs. That is one side of the game. Another side of the game is this. If you are not following this, even if you are making a very good product, you may get into a trouble. So finally, the customer will not get the benefit of a good product because of your ignorance of standards. That's why following the norms, actually one of the very prominent men told, growth means increased turnover, products, profits, promotions, bonuses and all. That gives only materialistic pleasure. And progress means you have to add to the above ethics, discipline, honesty and norms. Norms are very important. If you are following that, yes, there is a happiness. If you are ethical, there is a happiness. If you are disciplined, you are happiness. And if you are honest, you'll be the most happiest man. Then success. The progress is only an in-between step. Success means you have to combine all with humanity and morality, spirituality. That is where the real anandam, that is a joy. You may think making a product may give you a pleasure. Following the norms may make you to progress, but being human, follow the norms and give the quality product, that only gives a strong economy and also a very joyful society. That's why I always think following the rules, regulations and norms is not a mean thing, and don't think only the weak people will follow the standards, weak people will follow the rules. No, actually you are giving a respect, and it is your duty and responsibility to take care of the social values in which you are living. And we all have to understand this and must consume less, avoid waste, conserve all the resources for next generation, and live in a very organized way, in an agreed way, and let us share everything in the society for the benefit and also for the next generation. Thank you. This is a small effort to make you understand how important are standards in especially product development or product making or a fabrication and development stage. You have to be aware of it, and then slowly you have to follow that. And by the time you give the product, you must ensure that you are followed and you are complying with all the things. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.